What is up, RotoGrinders? 2 hours of nonstop NBA DFS conversation. It starts right now, taking y'all straight up the lock tonight, 7 o'clock on the East Coast. Hopefully, your brackets have not already been busted. I see people in the chat talking about it already. Looks like we've had a couple upsets. BYU took an L, and I guess Mississippi State did because Mr. Gerg is saying that's who I had in the Final Four. Mr. Gerg, you should know better. I did not fill out a bracket. I did play the squad ride pick, though. Squad ride 1-0. So far in the tournament. Shout out to Dan Bach. Shout out DB. The team that beat Akron. Who was that, Chop? We had the team that beat Akron.
Creighton.
Shout out Creighton. Yeah. And I didn't. I was thinking Dan went to Akron. No, he's got Ohio roots, but I believe he went to, he was a Bobcat, if I'm not mistaken. Probably the rival of Akron. I don't know. You know more college basketball. Akron and Ohio Bobcats, they're probably rivals, right? Who else would it be? Natural state rivals?
They sound like they're probably in the same conference, so they might be.
Yeah. So shout out to Dan, and we double dipped. So I don't know, Chop, you're playing along as well with the squad. We got the Wolfpack. We got Nevada taking on. Speaking of Ohio, Dayton. According to Steve in chat, Akron and Kent State are the big rivals. Kent, of course, also from Ohio. So maybe they're on the outside looking in. Did you partake in the squad ride bet today? We're 1-0. We're playing with the house's money. It's our money. But, we got Nevada. We got Nevada to win straight up. Are you on board with that?
Nevada. I like Nevada today. I like them.
You said, was it yesterday or the day before? I don't recall. The days got all meshed together. You're trying to, you're trying to get out of this, get out of the show. You want to watch your college basketball all day. Are you in the office right now? Do you have a setup of like 4 different TVs going on? Are you multitasking while on the show? Am I gonna get 80% of Chop's attention today?
I'm going cold turkey, no basketball while I'm doing the show. Can't do that. Gotta focus with a damn 2-man. But it's bad enough that I'm on the show, Dean. I don't even have the luxury of having that third wheel to like bail me out. I can't even watch the game now. I gotta pay attention to what's going on here on the show, or else I might get the axe and get fired. But The good thing is that we've seen a lot of basketball so far. We've got a lot more tonight, so there's plenty of it. I can take a little hour and a half break, no big deal.
This time next Thursday, like this time next week, we're going to be talking some baseball. I know the baseball season started. They played a couple games over there in Korea. But next Thursday, it's like an all-day slate. The 28th, we're going to have content. I believe myself and Blender, we're on like 11 o'clock or so in the afternoon. There might be a night show as well, depending on how the slates work. Who knows how they're going to roll that out. But yeah, Chop, I'm grinding away as far as like best ball, baseball stuff, season-long baseball stuff. I'm more locked in than ever as far as baseball. Normally this time, like a week before, I'm scrambling because it's like, it's DFS. We'll figure it out a couple days and we're good to go. That guy's on that team, had no idea. But I'm kind of on top of things. Chop, we excited for baseball? Your Houston Astros?
I'm going to be excited when it gets rolling, but Dean, I have to think about this. This has got to be the first time, because I can't ever remember. Baseball Madness kicks off on the same day there's March Madness and NBA. Baseball doesn't usually open up on a Thursday like that, right? And especially not at the time when March Madness is going on. That seems a little bit. It seems like it's a first timer, but it's going to be packed next week. That's going to be something to behold.
Many, many years ago, they used to open up Sunday night with the Reds. I don't know if you remember that, but that was like, kind of like how Thanksgiving had like the Lions and then the Cowboys. Many years ago, it used to be the Reds opening up like just a couple games and like maybe just one game Sunday night, and the season would open up on a Monday. But I don't know. I don't recall ever having it March Madness. I know it's great for marketing the game. It's the world's game, baseball. Outside of soccer, obviously, basketball's getting there too. The world's getting smaller. It was great for marketing and the games over there with the Dodgers and the Padres, but kind of screws their season up from the start. Kind of messes up their spring training, and nobody watched those games. I don't think. Do you know the score in the second game? It was 15-11. Chop.
I know. A
lot of fun.
I know the score, Dean, because I was laughing at Yamamoto, the big contract. The Dodgers, some people are already saying maybe they messed up here, man. Maybe they bit off a little more. They could they're not going to reap. Oh, by the way, Dean, you're burying the lead on the Dodgers.
The Otani got you.
What
Gonna
is
do this
going
now,
on? Buddy, watch out now. Don't let him
it's
get
a weird
caught.
story. It's a
Don't
weird.
let
I'll
him
just say
get
it's a weird story.
Dean, don't let him get caught having placed a bet on a game on an actual baseball game. It'll be lights out for the Dodgers.
I have questions. Like the story is kind of murky. I don't know if we have time to get into it, but it is a. And I was just thinking, like on the surface, like you go to school or whatever it is to become an interpreter. That's your life's goal. You become an interpreter, and that is that the one as far is that the best interpreting job you can have in the world? Like if you're an interpreter and I want to be the best person in my field, is there a better job than being a Shohei Otani's interpreter in the interpreting field? There isn't, right? Like I don't know, maybe like a world leader or something.
No, forget that. I wouldn't want to interpret. Maybe like a famous Colombian woman, and you get to follow her around night and day and interpret for her. But okay. Otani's just like
oddly specific. It's not
Otani's like a close second. I get the thing about Otani. Now you've gotten. I would imagine now you're taken care of for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? If you're this dude and you go ahead and take the fall for him, I know you're set up pretty good for the rest of your life. So that's a good deal. But yeah, it's a pretty good gig.
Yeah, $4.5 million. I don't know how you get in that hole, but quietly get in that hole. But oh, here we go, producer Steve. He's already doing it with the poll. Did Otani gamble, or was it the interpreter? And the other thing is, by the way, before the story kind of fully broke, the interpreter and Otani were kind of palling around in the dugout. And like, if you just found out that your so-called like best friend in the world took $4.5 million from you, and the way the timeline works, I think that he knew at the time, allegedly, according to would you pal around with the guy in the dugout over there in Korea? Probably not. I mean, I know Otani's rich and who cares? He's got plenty of money, but like, still, I mean, he betrayed your trust. If the story is the story, I know that they're supposedly like lifelong friends as well, but it's just I'm not trying to put on any sort of tinfoil hat. It's a weird story, and baseball probably wouldn't love this if it got elevated, but it's going to get elevated. It's going to get bigger. I think that was kind of ignoring it.
There's too many internet sleuths out there, and they're very good at this, Dean. The people on the internet can crack anything, so they'll figure it out. And I'm sure there's something going on there that doesn't meet the eye. But the point being, that's a lot of money that they paid to Yamamoto. He got blasted. We'll see if his success can translate to the big leagues. Otherwise, the Dodgers are in trouble. But opening day next weekend, NCAA on the same day with a little NBA, going to be pretty hectic weekend there. It should be fun though, and it's going to be good stuff, Dean. And the people want to know who you got in your Final Four bracket right now, Dean. Who do you got in your Final Four bracket?
I'm just thinking about our boy Big T, like with the baseball and March Madness. How many TVs is he going to buy and then return at Best Buy now? Because which by the way, I've always given him the business. That's the worst move. It's a terrible move. I very much frown on that. But, I don't know if he's still doing it, to be fair. I couldn't say.
It's Walmart, and yes, he still does it, Dean.
God, that's so terrible. Stop doing that. He buys like 10 TVs or whatever it is. He might have to buy a couple more for baseball. And then he returns them after a couple, all of a sudden we're down to 8 or 16. He doesn't need them anymore. My bracket has nobody. I didn't make a bracket. I don't. Come on. Well, no, I don't. I am the curmudgeon when it comes to college basketball. You guys have your fun, enjoy yourself. I don't want to poo-poo on it. Like I don't like crocheting, but if you like crocheting, you shouldn't not like crocheting any less because I don't like it. That's how I feel about college basketball. Like if you guys like it, enjoy it, have at it. I'm just going to ignore it, but I'll still bet on it. And maybe I'll watch a few minutes if I have a wager and it's like this down to one player or something like that. But I don't watch the Little League World Series either. There's no reason to watch college basketball. I can go down to the Y or the local rec or whatever and watch a bunch of bricks. But yeah, you guys enjoy yourselves. Who do you have Houston, I assume, right?
I have UConn over Houston in the championship game. I'll take a shot on Houston. They're a little bit banged up, but I can't not put them in there. So I'll take a shot on them.
By the way, early results are not surprising. Everybody wants it to be Otani. He's the one who was doing the gambling. And so far, 2 out of 3 people are saying Otani. But yeah, Brandon saying I'm a curmudgeon. But yeah, I accept that. It's fine. And again, I'm not trying to if you enjoy the college basketball, enjoy it. Have at it. There's TV shows I like that you probably don't like, and if you don't like it, I'm going to like it just as much. That's all. Choice. I like choice.
It's about choice, Dean. You're right. You want to know why? Because, like, for me personally, and I don't, like you said, I don't begrudge anybody, but I can't sit down and watch a hockey game. Like, I just can't do it. Right? That's just me. I can't do it.
That's fine.
And while I don't really like a lot of the college basketball, I do like the fact that they do play some defense and they try on defense, and there's schemes that are set up on defense to even when you. Dean, I want you to watch the Houston game tomorrow night.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to don't.
I bet on it. I bet on Houston already. So
you don't have to watch the whole thing, but just watch the way they play defense, like the way they're connected on defense. And there's a lot of there's several teams the way they're connected, like on a string. Their defense is like high level NBA offense. Like it looks really like the Warriors when they're passing the ball around. Like it looks really nice. Now there's not a lot of teams out there like that, but I do like some of that good defense. When you watch Iowa State play, when everybody's connected and they're going to the right spot, like it's good stuff. But like you said, and it's not for everybody. I don't like the people who jump on there and dog everything just because they don't watch it. That's ridiculous, but it is what it is. Yeah, I can't watch a hockey game, Dean. It's like
I love it. I love hockey.
I know people do. I'm trying to follow the puck around. I can't find it half the time, and it's just.
Do you miss the glow puck that Fox had that like 15, 20 years ago?
The real like hardcore NHL guys hated that, right? They did not like the glow. The glow. I liked it. I needed it. I needed the glow. I needed the glow puck. There were the hardos, man. They did not like the glow puck.
The old school guys did not approve.
Where's Tasteful Tide? Tasteful Tide's going to drop in here any minute now and start besmirching our name for liking the glow stick.
I wonder what so Tim doesn't like fun is like a general thought, and then I think the glow puck was kind of sort of somewhat fun. It's more fun than not fun, so he probably didn't like it, but I don't want to speak for him. By the way, the NBA slate tonight, not fun. It's pretty gross actually, and I thought it would open up if Claxton wasn't going to play. I thought there's a really good chance Claxton wasn't going to play because they called up the big from the G League, Clowney, and that's not the case. Claxton is available. Which means we're not going to have, it would have been the most chalky player in the slate, Daron Sharp. He would have been super popular here versus Milwaukee. It's just 6 games. We're leaving off the last 7 games for savings. No Atlanta, no Phoenix. Once again, we have a slew of blowouts. We had a lot of blowouts yesterday, a lot of scheduled blowouts. Most of them did blow out. It was really, really ugly as far as the slate. And we have Giannis questionable. Once again, I think Giannis is going to play, but, they kind of said he wasn't really injured, more or less, just kind of a rest, essentially. It's the back half of a back-to-back for Milwaukee. It's also the back half for Utah. It's the back half for the Kings. Only one team of the 12 is in the front end. That will be New Orleans. New Orleans takes on Orlando. The 2 best defensive teams in all basketball the last 15 games, according to defensive efficiency. So that right there, team total, we'll talk about it, 207.5. There's 2 games at 7. There are 2 games at 8. There's a game 8:30. There's a game 9 o'clock. And again, they dropped. This is both FanDuel and DK. They did coordinate. No Atlanta, no Phoenix. Oh man, I really was counting on Sharp like helping us open some stuff up here. We also have some studs, potentially Giannis for sure, Luka for sure, Joker. Washington's not doing their really goofy thing of resting everybody. They're bringing back Kuzma. They still have some pieces that are out. Possibly we get Kobe White back tonight, Chop. Chicago's prices kind of bumped up a little bit, and also they're facing Houston, so they're not as appealing. A guy that we're playing on Houston the last several slates was Amen Thompson, but his prices jumped up, especially on FanDuel, where it's kind of, I don't want to say unplayable, but feels kind of unplayable. But I'm curious what your overview is, because I don't love this slate. I think it's a good slate to be different, because whatever is going to pop as chalk is probably not great chalk. That's my first thought. You tell me, how you feeling tonight, Chop, as far as tonight's 6-gamer?
Yeah, there's no okay, this is the easy play chalk right here. Like, there's been some of those guys the last few nights. Yeah, maybe we'll still get it. There's nothing like that makes you feel like, oh man, that's a pretty good one, right? That's pretty easy stuff right there. The stuff you do have to go with in the cheaper range to get up to Luka or Jokic or one of those guys is, it doesn't feel good. The Keon Ellises of the world and things like that. And so on slates like that, I kind of prefer to probably go more mid-range build. And I can make a case right now. Did the survey today and kind of alluded to it a little bit. I could make a case against just about every elite player, that's up there in that high range with that high projection. And if I can make a case against it, I'm probably going to talk myself into more mid-range build. But yeah, the value chalk, the value salary savings do not feel good. So we'll talk about it. But that takes me into a different lineup build right there if I can't play those guys.
By the way, somebody mentioned it in chat, Chop. One thing I said I was not going to be watching any college basketball, and that's fine. But one thing I will be watching, I plan on watching this evening, Roadhouse. Is
that tonight?
The reboot. Yeah, it's out. It's out. The new Roadhouse is out.
No spoilers tomorrow, Dean, because I'm not going to be able to watch it till this weekend. My gosh. Man, I'm looking forward to that.
Are you like an original Roadhouse guy? Because I'm going in with low expectations. The original Roadhouse is incredible as far as, and I'm curious if the chat can throw this out, by the way. Here's what I'm asking the chat, and I'll ask you as well. Give me the best good bad movie. You know what a good bad movie is. Roadhouse is the best good bad movie. If it's not the best, it's one of the best good bad movies. And did they lean in on purpose? Did they know what they were doing was silly and absurd, or it just happened to work out that way? Was Patrick Swayze taking the whole movie for real? I think he played his role seriously. I don't know. But it's spectacular. And, the new one with Jake Gyllenhaal, Conor McGregor. There you go. Producer Steve. I wonder if Producer Steve just knows Roadhouse from the bit from Family Guy, Roadhouse. But, I'm looking forward to watching that. It can't be any worse than the reboot of, the White Man Can't Jump reboot. It was kind of not spectacular. Yeah. You watch these things. It's on. You take a couple hours. But, yeah, I think Conor McGregor might actually be kind of good. And I'm not a McGregor guy, but I feel like he could be a good bad guy. I assume he's the bad guy in it. I don't know. I'm going in cold. But, yeah, Chop, I won't give any spoilers. Bloodsport, Mike is throwing out as a good bad movie. You got a good bad movie, Chop?
I mean, right offhand, the last several Fast and Furious, I can't stop watching them, and obviously I know it's not good, but yeah, I was loved the original Roadhouse for all of its, just the whole story of it was pretty awesome when you're young and growing up, and that was pretty cool stuff. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the new Roadhouse and see if they can do better than the White Man Can't Jump, because, they shouldn't have never – I said it at the time, you don't mess with White Man Can't Jump because the whole thing about that movie, the best part was the chemistry between Wesley and Woody Harrelson and even Rosie Perez. The chemistry, and you're not going to duplicate that especially not with Jack Harlow. Come on, man. That was a joke. So let's hope they don't mess up this Roadhouse remake, so we'll see.
Gyllenhaal's usually pretty good. He's pretty reliable.
Yeah, that's why I say maybe it's all right. And Connor, like you said, I'm not gonna, maybe he's gifted like that. Maybe he can pull this off in his acting debut. We'll see. So we'll figure it out, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Tremors being thrown out in the chat as a good bad
movie. That was so good at the time.
Kevin Bacon.
So good. I can't watch now. You watch it and it's like, oh my god, how
probably looks terrible.
Is that that's giant?
There's 3 or 4 Tremors, I believe.
Yeah,
I'm not sure
they went overboard. They went overboard with the sequels, but the original Tremors, yeah, man, you're sitting on the edge of your seat on that one. That was pretty good stuff.
Blank Man, which is Damon Wayans, one of the Wayans brothers. I think it was Damon Wayans. He was a superhero. The other one, by the way, I'll throw out there. We'll get moving in a second. Jamie Foxx, Gerard Butler, Law Abiding Citizen. Just a completely ridiculous movie, but it's a lot of fun.
No,
have you seen it before?
It's
a ridiculous movie.
Why?
It's a ridiculous movie, but it's fun. It's ridiculous, though.
I don't know about ridiculous. I thought it was.
I don't want to give the premise away. I don't want to give away the.
The movie's 15 years old, man.
Well, there's somebody in the chat that hasn't seen it yet that just became aware of it. But and the reveal at the end, it's like, come on, that can't be for real. There's no way. That's just not possible.
This man had decades to prepare for this. He did it. I like movies where there's really smart people in there outsmarting everybody. And this guy had a plan and he outsmarted everybody. Yeah, it was good. I thought it was a good movie.
Well, True Romance is just a good movie. That's not a good bad movie. True Romance is just a good movie, right? I think any Nick Cage movie is just a good general suggestion. Yeah, that's a good blanket statement. I'm not sure what his best good bad movie is, but he certainly has several for sure. All right. By the way, we are doing a giveaway today. I did want to mention that too. It's Thankful Thursday, and I don't know. The people got to be on the honor system. We're going to be spinning the wheel again, and only those that have never won before. Now, just so you know, producer Steve, he's picked the winners. He's going to be picking you as well, and he's going to recognize you if you won before. If you can, feel free to click the button in Discord, but spin the wheel. It's just going to waste everybody's time. But yeah, we're going to spin the wheel. If you've never won before, we want to hook somebody up that's never won before. Maybe one, possibly two. Well, definitely one, possibly two, depending on the likes. RotoGrinders.com/Discord, the live stream chat channel, just the avatar there. Just click the avatar. You will become eligible. Going forward, we're talking about maybe like hooking people up that jump in the bragging rights channel on Discord. I don't want to make any empty promises, but that's something we're considering doing as well. Bragging rights, whenever you hit something big, let us know in the bragging rights channel. Again, rotogrinders.com/Discord. And also, I should mention, since we're kind of bringing this stuff up as far as Discord, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, Chop. I don't think you were on the show, but the RotoGrinders socks. Are you aware of the RotoGrinders socks?
Yeah, I got a pair.
Well, if you don't work for RG, but you want to get yourself some RG socks, we're giving away 5 pairs of socks, and that's 10 socks in total, 5 pairs. And all you got to do to enter is join the RotoGrinders Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord. Go to the giveaways channel and just hit the emoji. This emoji right there, it's like a party hat emoji. Just hit that. That is eligible. They're going to be drawing it tomorrow. So while you're clicking everything, you're hitting the like button, you're hitting the avatar on the live stream chat channel, get yourself eligible for a free week of RG Premium. Also, jump in the giveaways channel and hit the party hat, and possibly get yourself some free RG socks. All right. Chop, anything else we should say as far as an overview when it comes to the slate, or shall we dive in?
Overview to the slate, no, Dean, but I'd like to throw in another bad movie, but I can just rewatch it multiple times. I don't know why. Is the sequel, not the original, the sequel of Suicide Squad. It's just, I don't know why.
The original had Will Smith. Is he in both of them or no?
No. The Will Smith Suicide, okay. I thought was okay.
I've seen that.
I'll watch that. I'm not going to consider that a bad movie. Suicide Squad, the sequel, man, that was a bad movie, but I'll still watch it. I don't know. That one's got the John Cena in it. And by the way, John Cena did the spinoff of that character to an HBO series. I don't know if you've seen it.
It's spectacular. It's very, very good.
It's very, very good. And I saw a show, Dean, the other day.
Peacemaker.
The Peacemaker's very good. And there's another
shockingly
show.
good. Like, it's not my style, but I thought
very
it was
funny.
Awesome.
It's got that subtle humor. And I saw another
Cena
one on
Netflix.
Netflix.
Got some charisma. He's good. He's just got it. But go ahead.
If you like the Peacemaker, speaking, I'm diverting here, but if you like the Peacemaker, the what? No, that's good. But no, if you like the Peacemaker, there's a show, like an 8-episode show on Netflix. Man, I can't remember, but it's got the same kind of humor, that crude humor, but subtle, and you got to catch the little things. It's hilarious. What am I thinking?
You sure it's not the one on Amazon Prime that's like called like Invincible or something like that?
No.
It's not that. Okay.
No, I can look it up. I get you. Let me give me a second here. I'll pull it up. I recommended it to somebody the other day, but if you like the Peacemaker, it's got that same kind of. My list, Dean. I'm currently trying to watch The Gentleman, the 8-episode Gentleman based on the movie.
The movie was very good. I haven't seen the series just yet, but I enjoyed the movie.
Obliterated is what it's called. It's on Netflix. It is got the same style of humor as The Peacemaker. You got to pick up on some of the stuff. It's crude and dirty and gross, but it's funny, and it's got a nice cast to it. But yeah, Suicide Squad, the sequel. Bad movie, but I'll still watch it.
Can you tell it's a bad slate? By the way, we're just now diving into the slate. It's a bad slate. There's not a lot to say about it. Maybe things will change, and Crunch Time will have more to elaborate. We're going to knock out these 6 games. It's not long either, so plenty of time, of course. In about a half hour or so, we're going to do that drawing. get yourself a week free of RG Premium. Only those honor system now. And again, producer Steve knows. He knows if you won before. So you're wasting time if you're going there and clicking. But go ahead and jump in the Discord and get yourself eligible for a week free. And hopefully we'll hook you up later on in the show. Maybe 2, depending on how many likes we have. First game, kind of alluded to it. Feels like a bit of a snooze fest to me. But again, not a lot of value in the slate. This game, there's a lot of blowouts. This game is actually one of those that's not a blowout. It's like the Miami-Cleveland game yesterday. New Orleans, Orlando, 207.5 is a total. That's the problem, right? I said it before. The 2 best defensive teams in all basketball the last 15 games. And they're also really healthy, right? So New Orleans is without nobody. Unless you count Dyson Daniels and Matt Ryan is officially questionable, doesn't matter. The Magic are fully healthy. So both these teams fully healthy, fully defensive. They play pretty big rotations. Of course, you can play, if you want to play Zion, by all means, go for it. Have at it. Is there anything that stands out math-wise to play him? No. Outside of ownership, that's it. Currently, we're getting 11% to Markelle Fultz. And in part, that is because, oh, my God, he's got a 14-point projection, and he's still getting 11%. Just because, again, this slate is really lacking value. And, I thought that would be opened up with Brooklyn. It does not appear to be happening because Claxton is available now. Choppa, you got anything exciting about New Orleans and Orlando? I don't have a lot to say. It just feels like I bet the under in this game too. I do not expect a lot of points. I don't make a ton of lineups. If you want a differentiator, you can play yourself some Zion or Ingram. Banchero getting 2%, Ingram getting 2%. Zion, I'm trying to find where Zion's at as far as our ownership stuff. 2%. What do we like here, Chop?
In this particular game, Dean, Hoosiers hang banners had a good one. He said Beastmaster. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, Beastmaster, the old one, the original one. Terrible movie. We watched it a few times. Got the old Tanya Roberts knockers in there. You can't beat that scene or whatever.
I don't remember it.
Oh man,
none of that's coming back to me.
Okay, well it's fine. Dean.
Very descriptive, but
it's okay. It's okay. This game is whack. I would say maybe because of the salary cap tonight and everything. Maybe Wendell Carter Jr. is a guy if you want to go in that range and has a hint of upside and a super cheap salary on DraftKings, but that's about it. I can't really. Orlando's good on defense. I can't really, and New Orleans is healthy, so you got your big 3 in there. I think there's a case where just because of the salary, Murphy or who's a really good defensive player for New Orleans? I slipping my mind.
I mean, Jones.
Herbert Jones.
Alvaredo's annoying. Yeah.
Herbert Jones or Trey Murphy, the wings, who can get you some steals or some blocks, maybe just because of the salary cap. And then on the flip side, New Orleans, pretty good defense. Orlando, pretty bad. Banchero, Price. Yeah, Wendell Carter's about it, man, for me.
By the way, you mentioned our Choppers Knockers coming back next week for baseball. Is that something that we're going to be bringing back this year?
It is the fans have spoken. I'm getting a lot of DMs wondering if I'm going to if we're bringing that segment back. And absolutely, I don't see unless the powers that be do not approve, then I don't see why we can't bring back some Choppers Knockers. All right.
Yeah. Oh, has producer Steve never heard me drop an F-bomb even behind the scenes? I'm sure. I feel like it's happened before. It's not something I've sworn off. It's in my arsenal. It's in my repertoire, but it kind of has to come out organically. Yeah. But that's how I get Brandon's like. I don't. Was it worth it just for one like to drop the old F-bomb and throw off the algorithm? And I don't know. Producer Devin would shake his fist somewhere. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we can't force it though. It's got to come out organically for sure. But I really have I have nothing to say about New Orleans and Orlando. It's a game that's happening, and certainly you could play some players, and I wouldn't discourage it. But I do not anticipate playing anybody in this game. Maybe we can get excited about the second game at 7:00. It is the Wizards after all. 238.5. The Wizards are 11-point dogs. Or Sacramento, the back half of a back-to-back, and they're traveling. Still doesn't matter. They're big-time favorites because the Wizards are horrendous. Vezenkov was upgraded to questionable. I don't think it really matters. Herter's out for a while. They just said he's going to be out with no specific timetable. This is DFS Chop we care about tonight only. And, of course, Herter is not playing tonight. No Trey Lyles as well. Kuzma's coming back to the injury report. They gave him a shoulder. Avdia is also available too, so we're not playing, Patrick Baldwin and Jared Butler and those kind of guys. But Omar Ruiz still out, Shamit's still out, Bagley's still out, Koulibaly out for the season. Rashawn Holmes also available. He was ill, but he is good to go. So Sabonis feels like an awesome play here, right? Like, who's going to subdue Sabonis? Is this a revenge game for Rashawn Holmes? Didn't he played a bit for Sacramento, right? Am I making that up? Yeah, I mean, he at least sat in really, really good seats for Sacramento. Just throwing that out there for the people if you care for such things like revenge. But love Sabonis. But I think you have to talk about Sabonis in the context of Sabonis versus Giannis versus Joker versus Luka. Where would you have him in the power rankings amongst the mega studs on tonight's slate?
I told you I could probably poke holes in all these guys. And Sabonis is on the second night of a back-to-back with travel. So that's never good. Where would I rank him amongst all of the elite players tonight? With that being said, he's probably my top option just because he saves you a little bit on Luka and on Jokic. So I like Sabonis in that. If you're spinning up, he is a guy I do like, and it's a juicy ass matchup. But in general, this game is pretty good, pretty decent, especially on that Sacramento side without Herter. Things open up a little bit more. Malik Monk, we talked about Keon Ellis, not really a guy I want to play, but for salary saving, he is a guy that you can play. I think Notorious did cores today, and he's got, Keon Ellis up there pretty high in his core players. And, when Notorious says that, then you probably got to, as much as you might not like a particular guy, you got to listen to him. So Keon Ellis, you got your Fox and Sabonis, always good.
You said you don't like Noto? Is that what you said? You don't like Ellis? You don't like Noto?
No. As much as you might not like a particular player, if Notorious has him ranked in top 2 or 3 of his cores, you have to take notice. No, okay. I like Notorious quite a bit. He's a good guy, very good guy. Don't give me, Dean. You're just trying to start. Can we get another poll up? Is Dean just trying to start garbage right now? Is Dean just trying to start a feud? We need another poll up.
Well, you guys used to do a podcast together, and you don't do it anymore. So I don't know if you had an ugly breakup or what happened.
No, it wasn't about the breakup. It was about getting a notification in the Slack saying we're canceling your show, guys. Thanks for bringing that up. I was just getting over it.
You went the way of Beastmaster, and then
now you brought it up all over again. Now I got to deal with these wounds for another 2 or 3 months. But no, like Fox and Sabonis, great. But if you don't want to play them, this looks like a really good game for like the secondary guys. Monk and Keegan Murray maybe go off in the second night of a back-to-back. So these Sacramento guys are very interesting, all of them. Even Harrison Barnes, actually. And on the flip side over there, Washington's getting a little bit healthier. So I don't know how much I'm going to go into there, but it's still a pretty good price on Avia. And before, if you separate his injuries, take away his injury missing, like the games he does play in down the stretch here, he's like crushing. So if he's healthy and he's back tonight and you think he's going to play full minutes, that's a under 7K price tag on him. That's pretty good. So yeah, I think this game is infinitely more appealing than the first game, and I could definitely see some pieces of this thing.
It's just a matter of trusting Washington. Like the thing is, like, they're not in tank mode, but they're in evaluation mode, right? So how much are they willing to push Avdia? They're giving him 34 minutes according to our projection team. Kuzma 34 as well, but they've done some weird things. Like, Poole we're expecting to start with all their injuries. He's been pretty horrendous. And the other thing that's uncomfortable with Chop is you mentioned Ellis, and Ellis is currently projected for, let's see, 28% ownership. And as a general rule, I just don't like players that have an 11% usage that going to be that heavily owned. Now I know he's cheap. I know he's starting. I know he's facing the Wizards. I think he's starting. I presume he's starting again. And I also know that we're lacking severe value. And I also know we live normal with the salary cap, so I get it. I just don't love that. And the other one you mentioned was Harry Barnes. And, his role's a little bit more secure with some of their fringe guys being out, with Herter being out. We saw his minutes cut yesterday. That was due to blowout and injury. He left at some point in the first half. But he's going to be fairly popular, Barnes, I think. Yeah, we're looking at 15%. And the mug thing is like when the game blows out, he really gets hurt because he comes on in the third, mid to late third quarter, whatever it is, and they're up 25-30. He's not going to close. So like a big chunk of his like accumulation, because he generally sticks around to the end. Once he gets in, he doesn't leave. He'll be the last guy out amongst, Fox and Sabonis if this game gets severely ugly, but he still gets his minutes cut short. He's too good to play in a blowout. So, like, he would be hurt by that as well. We saw that last night. So, I think you just sort of like you probably tell us the lineup story of like this game's going to stay close or it's not going to stay close. I don't want to say all in or all out. I don't want to do that. But kind of like a stack, in baseball. But that's sort of where I'm at, or maybe like one like a la carte piece just to kind of make something else work. But the other part is, again, this slate is kind of rough, and maybe you should loosen, or I should loosen that rule up. Is that a thought you're having? Maybe like game stack it up 2-2 or something like that, or at least 2-1, or to stay away.
If Squirrel was here, he would say yes. He would say yes. I love the game stack, especially on the shorter slates. He loves it. And the guy wins. So as much as I don't necessarily like it or chase it or do it on purpose, there's something to it. So yeah, I mean, sure, maybe I need to do more of that in the multi-entry stuff, but typically I don't. But I could see that the more done shows with John SquirrelPatrol Breslin, he's kind of got me on that path where game stacking is really good on the shorter slates, even more so than the bigger slates. So I could see that.
On the shorter slates, especially on a slate that has a lot of ugly games and a lot of potential blowouts, they're all potential blowouts, but some more likely than others. By the way, speaking of Squirrel, two things. He will be on in crunch time in about, 35 minutes or so. So you can ask him yourself, or I'm sure he'll talk about it with Roth and TJ. And the other thing, you said Squirrel wins some money. Well, yesterday, according to his Twitter, I don't know if he got a correction or not. He won $65K on FanDuel. Shout out to him. He was one stock away, one positive stock away, and assuming nobody in front of him had this guy as well, from winning $240K. So it was really, really tight. As far he got 294 points and change. He finished fifth, and second was 296. So he still won 65,000. Good night for him for sure. But he was very, very close to having maybe calling out sick today. Now he would never do that. He's a professional. But shout out to Squirrel. He'll be on in a bit. Your favorite player on Washington? You got to pick one. All things considered, is who?
Sacramento, Washington. This particular, it's going to be, because of the price tag on DraftKings, it's going to be Avia.
All right. There's a question in Discord that I'm going to kind of weave in as far as the Chicago Bulls, Houston Rockets. The Rockets are your team here, Chop. Rockets are 4-point favorites tonight versus the Bulls. Who's in and who's out as far as this one? Well, Kobe White's got that hip. He's questionable. I believe they said he was at shoot-around. Alex Caruso is just managing that ankle. I assume he plays, but he's questionable officially. As far as your Rockets, nothing new here. Şengün out for a while, maybe this season. Whitmore, he's been out for a bit. Question in here in Discord. Chop, I never question the optimizer, and I try to have a short memory, but Dylan Brooks keeps popping. What do we do? That's the other thing. I always thought if you hate playing Harry Barnes, wait till you see Dylan Brooks. He's one of those real life better, going to help your team win more so than going to help your DFS team win, at least from a defensive perspective. Do we like Dylan Brooks chalk? Because I don't in practice, in theory, but I might be forced to play him. At least think about it. Dylan Brooks?
He is going to jump off in the optimals. That's just what he does because the salary is so low and the minutes theoretically should be pretty high. And, I'm old enough to remember when he started the year for like the first 2 weeks and he was hitting like 50% of his 3-pointers but that's a long history ago. And he's just not needed offensively that much. And if he's not racking up defensive stats, then you're just not going to get much out of him. So I can't go there. I won't go there. You need him to play like you're banking on a lot of minutes for him, what you need, because he doesn't do very much. And Sometimes he doesn't even get there. Like, sometimes it's a push for him to get to 30 minutes, and I need like 35 minutes out of him just to have some kind of semblance of stats. So, no, I can pass on that. I'd much rather go with a Harrison Barnes if I was going in that range on DraftKings. So, I like him as a defensive stopper. He's interesting, and of course, I've got my beef with him over some stuff that happened, but I can't take it out on him professionally on the show here. I just say that I wouldn't play him. I'm not playing him in DFS tonight.
How many likes do we need to get that story out of you?
Well, how many people are currently viewing this thing?
Well, like people view on YouTube, they're on Twitter. I think they're on Facebook
we got
as well.
The metrics. We got our producer got the metrics. How many people are currently viewing the show?
Well, are you going to set it now at like an astronomical number where it's not even worth throwing it out there?
It's about 400 at the moment.
If 400 people are viewing the show right now and people are coming in and out of here, there's no reason why we can't get 750 likes and then I tell you the whole story.
Well, no, there is a Chop. You need a calculator? I think there is a reason.
The 400, some are going to go, but plenty are going to come by and spend some time. And, so 400 to me is like double it. There's going to be like 800, maybe 1,600 eyeballs on the show at some point. I just need less than half those people get some likes. That's all I need. Half of them. I mean, that's not asking much.
Well, we'll see what we can do. What about the Rockets you actually do like? They're going to cost you, Green, certainly spectacular, but he's going to cost you as well. I'm looking at the ownership stuff. On DK specifically, Amen Thompson, he's bumped up, but he's not bumped up where we can't play him anymore. He's looking at, 28%. Dylan Brooks, 24%. The aforementioned Brooks, 20% for Jalen Green, but he's all the way up to 8.3. FVV is 16%, and then it drops off a table. If you want to, flat out punt with Jayshawn Tate, I can't imagine you'd want to. But again, this is the old nature of the slate. We haven't done that in a while, the nature of the slate. The nature of the slate dictates where you have to consider these guys that are projected for 12 points or so. That's where Tate basically is. And, he's hitting some lineups for that reason, just because it helps you get, the Lukas and the Giannis's and the Sabonis's of the world. Your favorite Rocket. I know you don't like Dylan Brooks. Who do you like?
I would say based on the salaries, DraftKings, probably start with Amen Thompson, playing good minutes here. They're going to play him a lot more. They're going to play him as much as they can, as long as he stays out of foul trouble. With Şengün out, he's just a really versatile piece in the lineup that they like. So he's going to play a lot. He's stuffs the sheet man everywhere, right? Like he does a lot of different things. I like that price tag. Now it jumps so far up on FanDuel, probably couldn't play him, right? But on DraftKings, it's a great price. After that, I think the floor for Fred VanVleet is so high. I don't think there's a massive ceiling, maximum 55 for Fred if everything falls his way. But there's such a high floor because this is going to be a competitive game, not like the Washington game where it was 30 points early in the fourth quarter and they didn't need him. They're going to need him against Chicago, and they're still trying to win. The price tag went down since the last game, and so I think Fred VanVleet. Now we're getting way high on Jalen Green as far as the price tag, but he keeps delivering on it, and they keep feeding him. And when he gets hot, he's pretty good. Jabari's price tag is up there now to where I don't know, man. It's up there, but I could see him. It's not a bad matchup for him. I think he could have some success against Vucevic, stretching him out and shooting 3-pointers, out on the wings. That's just kind of like what they want to do with him with Şengün out. They actually like Jabari as a center, believe it or not, because of the versatility defensively he brings. And Udoka's talked about this before. Like when he's in the game and when Amen's in the game, there's so much, they can switch everything. They like him. So they're going to play him a lot more. And this is kind of like, I'm not, Şengün being out is a bad thing, but it was kind of a blessing in disguise. They get to see the different things they want to try. I think Jabari could have a good game. So, but the prices are appropriate on these guys, except for Amen's too low, and Fred VanVleet, I think, is probably still a little bit too low. Those are my two favorite.
By the way, halftime so far, the squad ride pick is looking pretty good. The Wolfpack Nevada up 34-25.
Big comeback, D, because about 10 minutes ago they were down by 7, and I was like, oh, no, Squad Rides is in trouble. And then they made a big surge there. I saw it, yeah.
You got to bet these games live too. The big swings.
Oh,
right?
it was so easy when you're betting. Like the team jumps out to a quick little 8-point lead in the first 5 minutes, and Vegas kind of like readjusts too hardcore, man. And
you get a couple extra points.
Oh yeah, it's easy money.
All right, Chicago.
We should start a live betting site, Dean, where we just give out live betting plays real quick. You know what, Dean? Seriously,
Let's do it.
I was thinking about a site a few weeks ago. They need to come up with a site. Now, if you're out there and you're listening, you come up with this, just give me credit for it, a little bit of credit, especially for the NBA, but maybe it would probably work for NFL and stuff too. A site that does nothing for you, but log into your content providers, whatever. You have to give it, your passwords. That's fine. But it logs you in and all you got to do on this site is refresh, and it updates everybody's projections from the different content provider and aggregates it for you or averages it for you, does whatever method median project, whatever you want to do with everything you subscribe to, it delivers it to that site right there. Boom. You don't know copying and pasting from you, no downloading anything. You know what I'm like? It does it all for you, right? That's what somebody needs to come up with, Dean. Wouldn't that be so good for basketball? The last 10 minutes when you really start, you don't want to have to go back into RG and push the download CVS and then to your next site and do that. You can't be doing. But if you could just go to one site and push refresh and then everything updates for you, right? Boy, I tell you, they could have my $20 a month. Just sign me up, $20 a month, easy peasy.
Also, hoverboards. Somebody's got to get on that. I know it was out there, and then didn't Mike Tyson fall on a hoverboard? And are those still available, or they kind of returned? But he got up off that hoverboard. Now he's going to fight one of the Paul brothers. But yeah, I was told Back to the Future 2 told me that hoverboards will be a thing in 2015. Maybe the almanac's not even true. I don't know. But is everything about Back to the Future a lie? I'm not sure. How about the Bulls? We don't know about Kobe White. He's questionable. I think he plays. We're currently projecting him in, and because of that, the Bulls have gone up in price a little bit of late, and now with White coming back and the matchup versus Houston, all that compounds to 0 good plays. And ownership-wise, the most popular play, 7% for Chicago, will be Alex Caruso, who's never a fun roster, especially at 6-1. Like, he was not fun at 5-1. Now they're asking 6-1. Vuk was in the 7s. Now he's 8-5. DeRozan was in the 7s. Now he's 8-4. My point being made. And if White comes back, they become a little more playable. But as things stand right now, Dosunmu is 6'9", not nice. He was in the 4s and the 5s. He's earned every single step of the way, but I'm not paying 6'9" for Dosunmu. If White comes back, no chance. Long story short, I do not like the Bulls at all. Maybe a little bit if they lose White, but that's where I'm at right now.
So yeah, well, Kuzma's going to play, so that's Washington news. Yeah, if Kobe White's back, then all of a sudden you got everybody back. That backcourt is off limits to me. I don't need that. The one guy in GPPs is Vucevic, maybe. Just maybe. Maybe he can punish Jabari in the post. That's his game. Maybe he gets run off the court. That's why it's GPP only. Maybe he gets run off the court and can't guard out there on the perimeter, but maybe he punishes him in the post, so he's a GPP play. But those guards, and I can't. With everybody healthy, that's a hard pass.
Is there a chance we get a little bit of a rollover, a little bit of a crossover with Vooch and Drummond, where we're chopping up the 48 minutes, center minutes? That's what we're getting. 34 Vooch, 14 Drummond. I was sort of thinking extreme tournament stuff. Drummond's now down to a price where you can throw darts at him, and he can get there in 17 minutes, right? We're projecting 14. If you somehow found 17, I don't think that's nuts. Again, this is the old nature of the slate. And if you somehow found 20 minutes, or if this game blows out, there's a lot of ifs that can help you get there. I think Drummond is currently 3% owned. So it's not something he won't be played at all, but that's my favorite. What does Stevie say on his podcast? He's a certain term for let's get weird. There's my favorite. Let's get weird play. By the way, he did get one right yesterday. Didn't work out for me. I still found a way to blow it, but Jared Allen versus Miami yesterday. I don't know if you saw that. If you're watching that game, he just dominated without Bam. It was just a severe downgrade defensively for Miami. Yeah. So, but there was other nonsense that blew up my lineup. But hey, we're back to 0 today, Chopper. Anything else as far as Chicago, Houston? I believe we are moving on. Is that correct?
Move on.
Okay, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, 220 is the total. Milwaukee playing the back half of back-to-back. They're traveling as well from Boston to Milwaukee. They're 10-point favorites versus Brooklyn. Who's in and who's out? DFS, no Dorian and Finney-Smith. Kind of somewhat surprisingly, Claxton expected to go with his illness. Giannis is officially questionable with his hamstring, although, again, they kind of said like he's fine, and it was just sort of a maintenance thing. And I guess they just want to win this game, and they're punting off the Boston game. Middleton, back half of back-to-back, no surprise. He is out. They don't need him today. They need him a month from today when the playoffs are going. Yeah, I expect Giannis to play. If he doesn't, we have an if-then set up, and like Lillard's going to project spectacularly, just like he did yesterday. He wasn't great, but he's going to project well, if nothing else. Better matchup, of course, against Brooklyn as opposed to Boston yesterday. And Portis would project really well as well. Lillard would project for 55 DK points without Giannis. Portis 41 as a median projection. Lopez around 29-30. But yeah, we're projecting Giannis in unless something changes. What do you got as far as Brooklyn and the Bucks?
Yeah, if Giannis plays, I don't really have a whole lot of interest in Milwaukee. Now, Lillard's obviously priced way up now, and if Giannis is in, then he loses a lot. Portis would take a big hit if Giannis is in, and Brook Lopez to a smaller extent, although he could still get there at that price tag. And then Giannis at 11.4 on DK, 11.7 on FanDuel isn't really, I don't know. I could poke holes in everything, and I don't know if how he's going to play tonight, coming back from a little bit of an absence and playing Brooklyn, who's probably not a great team anyway. So. Yeah, I'm just not in love with Milwaukee, assuming Giannis plays. If he's out, we can definitely revisit this. But Brooklyn, probably as bad as they are, have a little bit more value here tonight. I don't know. We said Claxton is in, right? So Cam Johnson at 5,100 is going to jump, I think, in some optimals. You can run that and see if you. But the 5,100 is accounting for him having some really poor games recently. They're driving down his salary. What was he, about 6,100 a couple weeks ago, down to 51? You can take a shot there because of the slate itself. Claxton is okay. I don't really like to pick on Brook Lopez too much. He's pretty good defensively, but you can go there. Mikal Bridges, decent salary. Cam Thomas could always get hot, man, and absolutely crush it, but you're kind of paying for it. But, he is that kind of a player, though. So I have more interest in Brooklyn, specifically probably Cam Johnson at that price tag, but I have more interest in Brooklyn than Milwaukee based on the salaries.
We're going to spin that wheel in just a couple minutes or so. We want to talk I ran some optimals, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on some of the names that are popping up in optimals. Last chance to get it in as far as making yourself eligible to win a week free of RG Premium. Possibly 2 people, depending on how many likes we get. Do hit that like button, do subscribe, turn on those notifications. Much appreciated. And jump into the live stream chat channel, the Discord, RotoGrinders.com/Discord, and thumb up the post. Now it's for first-time winners only. If you've never won before, please participate. We want to give away premium to somebody that's never had it before. If you won before, please abstain. We would appreciate that. It is the honor system, but also producer Steve is playing the role of the goalie. And he knows if you guys have won before or not. So some questions in chat. Butto Jenkins saying, who is the cheap must play tonight? Let me tell you this, Chop. I just ran a bunch of optimals. Nobody's hitting my ceiling, but this is on FanDuel. Most popular plays, right? Most popular plays that are hitting the lineups. 55% FanDuel. Keon Ellis, Harry Barnes, PJ Washington, Dylan Brooks, Sabonis. Sabonis is like the one big spend that you like. 33%, Kessler 30%, Dante Exum we'll talk about soon enough, 30%, revenge game for him. Denny Avdia 29%. Okay. DK is usually a little bit softer. FanDuel a little bit rougher, right? Okay, you're gonna like it, guys. You get a DK. Are you? Number one most popular play, Chop, is Dylan Brooks, 55%. 55% of Dylan Brooks hitting my 89 lineups. Amen Thompson, 46%. Keon Ellis, 40%. Dante Exum, 40%. And by the way, Dante Exum, what is his projection? He's projected to score 18 points at 3.8 as a median projection. We don't love that, but nature of the slate. Aaron Gordon, 33%. Washington, 30%. Monk, 28%. FDV, 27%. Not even a stud. Like, there's not even a stud that's projected to hit more than 25% of my lineups. Sabonis eventually gets there at 26%. It's rough, right, Chop? This is kind of, we're trying to be enthusiastic, trying to be positive about the plays, but it's not good. Cleveland Picker and says in chat, how do you even enter the contest? Well, you enter the contest because we're all dealing with the same terrible puzzle pieces. I'm entering, I'm playing, I'm going to give it a shot, but I'm not going to like my lineup tonight. At least a couple pieces of it. Like I'll be holding my nose as I'm clicking on stuff. Chop, your assessment of those the players that are hitting the optimals. Do we like those names? We hate those names, right?
Those names are disgusting, but we knew that coming into the show. Like we knew that unless something happens here, that we knew that we weren't getting anything. There's guys actually coming back tonight. More guys are coming back tonight to make it tougher than guys that are missing tonight. So we knew that, and that's why I said probably at a certain point, if it stays like this, I just kind of draw the line at can't roster anybody that's not getting a median projection of 20 points, and I just do a very mid level build right there, and don't even play any of the stars, which we're poking holes in anyway. So I'm fine with that. Just cross your fingers and hope, like Luka having a triple double the other night, but even with that good, nice triple double, 60 points isn't going to kill you at that salary.
Yeah, it doesn't get there. Yeah.
So, maybe that happens to all these guys tonight. And there's only like 4 of them you got to sweat out. So I'm cool with a mid-level build right now. Yeah,
Luka gets a triple-double and still, flops because that's just the way, his price is these days. Sabonis is a decent shot. He still has that double-double streak going, and I think he's leading the league in triple-doubles as well. I always say he's like the game hasn't even started yet. He's already 2/3 of the way there. It's just about him getting assists, right? His rebounds are going to be there. The points are going to be there. Who else is going to be there? It's Producer Steve. Producer Steve's going to be here in just a second and give away a week free of premium, maybe to one person. Well, definitely to one person, possibly to two. Well, look, there's less names in the wheel because the honor system paid off. We do appreciate those that well, Steve, did you catch anybody? They're like, wait a second, you won yesterday. Come on.
Yeah, I think there's 3 or 4 names in there that I recognize have won. And you're not entered not only if you win on the wheel, just if you won at all in the last 3 weeks since we've done it daily. If you beat Dean in the tournament, you're not eligible.
Well, fair enough. Let's see if we can. Do we have enough likes for 2 individual spins, or is it just 1 spin? What are we doing here, Steve?
It's just 1 spin today.
Oh,
tomorrow's Freebie Friday, so everyone's going to get access to. Everyone's going to have access to a premium feature, even if you don't have premium.
So I know the plan was, you might not know this, I don't want to put you on the spot, but wasn't the plan last week to have a lineup HQ be available for everybody to use? But there was some kind of
I don't
hiccup
think
when it comes to the technology.
I don't think we were able to fix that hiccup just yet.
Okay,
we're working on it. We'll make it up to everyone, but I'm not sure if that's what it's going to be tomorrow. We'll confirm with producer Devin after the show.
One of these days, theoretically, if we can figure that out, we want to give the people access to lineup HQ, and everything's on there. There's talk about all the bells and the whistles, all sorts of things are listed on there. We don't kind of dig into everything, but yeah. All right, let's give the wheel a spin. Let's give out some premium.
All right. Oh, Devin in chat says fantasy pick'em tool tomorrow for everyone.
There you go.
AC Douglas. All right. I see him enter all the time, but I really don't recall him winning recently. So congratulations.
Variance. He was due. That's how that works. Shout out to Casey Douglas, producer Steve, producer Deb, and somebody's going to slide into your DMs there and hook you up, get you juiced up with some RG premium. And tomorrow, the fantasy pick'em tool that, it basically tells you what is more, all the props, and I presume you can get it for all the sports as well, too. The props that are out there, underdog, you can apply it to prize picks. You can apply it to your local sports book. It'll tell you percentage-wise, this has a 67% chance of going over, going under, and, you can sort it that way. Much, much easier. We'll talk about it tomorrow, but that's a nice – I thought that we were doing that on the Blender show on Friday morning. He would do the drawing, but I guess it's already been decided. That's what we're giving away on Friday for the people. Chop, we have 2 more games. Let's get excited. It's the Jazz and the Mavericks. 237.5 is the total. The Jazz are 14-point dogs here. They are playing the back half of a back-to-back, and they are traveling to Dallas. This is the old schedule blowout. Dallas expected to score a lot of points. 125 is a fair bit. Who's in and who's out? We are getting John Collins, he's got a face, so he cannot play. Somebody took his face off. Jordan Clarkson, he's got a groin. He's not playing basketball tonight. And Dallas is super healthy. The only player that's out for Dallas is Josh Green. We've talked about Luka. We all want to play Luka for sure, but salary cap concerns make it tricky. Dollar for dollar, the most popular player in Dallas, I believe, is PJ Washington, just the way salary stuff works, or maybe Daniel Gafford. The absence of Collins should lock in Kessler to start for Utah. Good rebounding matchup against Dallas. So maybe, if he can get a couple dunks, maybe he has a double-double on layaway. And, of course, he can, theoretically block 3 or 4 or 5 shots. So I think Kessler's a pretty good play here for the Jazz. What do you got here, Chop? Utah, Dallas.
Yeah, it's a decent game. Luka's always going to get or whoever is the star that's getting the best projection on the night is always going to be the one that the optimals want to jam into most, because they love the stars and scrubs build in the optimal. But I'm not going to go there. I don't think that's a big salary on both sides, and it's just the blowout factor. I don't think I want to go there. PJ Washington, they're trying to force us with a little PJ Washington tonight.
Yeah,
I think he's a talented player. I just haven't seen him hit his stride in Dallas, man. He hasn't done nothing since the trade deadline that makes me think tonight's going to be the night he explodes. But it may be because Utah stinks and they're completely done with for the season, and they're kind of letting it roll downhill. So maybe he does do it. Now we can talk about Exum, don't like Gafford. Now there's a guy since the trade deadline who has delivered some big-time performances for Dallas. So Gafford's very interesting, but you're going to pay for him. And then there's Kyrie. I kind of, for the salary, I don't prefer either one of them, but I would kind of probably lean towards Kyrie over Luka for the salary, just for the fact that it should be a pretty easy game for Dallas right here. On the flip side there, so Talon Horton-Tucker is going to get some projection popping also, depending on what site you're using. I probably prefer him to Exum in that price range, but Talon Horton-Tucker, Dean, is there anybody that values their young talent more than the Lakers and overvalues their young talent more than the Lakers? They wouldn't give this guy up for nothing, and he stinks. And they did the same thing with Kyle Kuzma a while back. We're not trading Kuzma for nobody after his first year. He stinks. It's funny, but I like your Kessler call. This guy could absolutely punish the DFS scorecard with his blocks. So, yeah, I like him probably more than anybody else in this game, Walker Kessler. And it's maybe they get blown out. And if they do get blown out, maybe some of these guys still stick around for a little bit, like Colin Sexton or Keontae George, Taylor Hendricks. Again, they're okay, but probably just Kessler on that side of the ball for me.
Dallas has gotten better as the season progressed as far as rebounding, but they're not one of the best rebounding teams in the league. Probably adding, Gafford, Washington, I guess he's not, but just a little bit more size there for the Mavs. Exum is the interesting one because he's projecting pretty well for 24 minutes. He played 28 last game. I think he would play pretty well into a blowout, right? He's not going to start, almost definitely not going to start. This is the team where he famously stunk for. He was terrible in Utah. I don't know if this was his first blood revenge game against Utah. I'm not certain of that. But you'd think they would maybe let him shine a little bit out there. And like you said, he's had his moments, and I just need to save some salary somewhere. Casey in chat saying Kessler stinks. Look, you're going to roster some players that stink. That's just how that goes. And he's got an opportunity tonight. I presume he's going to draw the start alongside George, Dunn, Markkanen, and Hendricks. And we got to save some salary somewhere. And Kessler, you at least tell yourself a story that maybe he plays 27 to 31 minutes and grabs 12 boards and stocks, gets 4 or 5 stocks, and he's going to score something. So yeah, I don't want to give a huge endorsement of him. And you talk about Kessler as well, but yeah.
Weird stat for you, Dean.
Yeah,
it's a true stat. Kessler has recorded at least one block in 28 straight games.
I believe that. Yeah, that sounds about right. I feel like he's fallen back this year, though, as far as he's regressed from his rookie season.
Well, they're just not. They didn't give him enough opportunity this year.
Collins has kind of mucked them up, like
Yeah.
the acquisition. They did not want to develop him. I don't know if they feel like he overachieved last year or what the story was. Pretty sure he's a lottery pick, like maybe 15 or so or something like that. But yeah, like he's lost a bit. But the Collins thing, like he's not a difference maker. John Collins, like he'll score some points for you. Well, he's kind of like DeAndre Ayton, like he's a stat accumulator. There's a better way of phrasing that. There's a better phrase I can't think of it for some reason.
All right.
But
so yeah,
it's not helping you win.
Yeah. Cleveland Picker has a question. What's your thoughts on projections on marketing tonight and your thoughts on projections on marketing tonight? Ownership, as of just the ownership or in general? The ownership it looks like nothing, right? It looks like less than 5% probably on both sides. So that's not bad. And the projection itself is, like I don't hate it. Like I've already said, I'm a mid-build kind of guy tonight at 8K, no ownership, with a real decent possibility at 40 plus fantasy points. He is definitely a guy that I could roster for sure.
He's played one game since the 2nd. He played on the 18th. He played 31 minutes when he came back. That game, I don't believe, was a blowout there versus Minnesota. TJ in chat, you're in the wrong account. You're in your Agents of Fandom account, just a heads up. And stat patter is the word I was looking for. Thank you. He's not even a good stat patter, John Collins, but that's kind of sort of what he is, right? I can't see marking him play like more than like 32 minutes or so. Now, I guess he can get there in 32 minutes. It's just, and you want to play the ownership game, like he's not going to get rostered. But there's just no reason to push him. And arguably you can say that, he's probably been mostly healthy and Utah they're doing this down the stretch. Some would say they're tanking, but because they're going nowhere. And we saw this last year. Remember last year they kind of jumped out and with like the surprise team for the first 20 games of the season, then fell back pretty severely. Wasn't tanking until like the end. But yeah, if you want, I'm not going to discourage it, but I don't think I'm getting the market in. But I hear what you're saying. Luka, you got Luka, Giannis, Sabonis, and did I leave somebody out? Joker. You say you're rostering one of those guys. You have to roster one. You don't obviously, but you were talking about like mid-tier stuff today, just the way salary stuff works out today. But where would Luka be for you? On the podium or not the podium?
Honestly, probably not on the podium, Dean.
So fourth amongst those three. 4.
Let me pull up everybody's stuff real quick. I would say the salary is so much greater than everybody else on both sides. Like I don't see that big of a gap between Jokic, Sabonis. Well, let's say especially Jokic and Doncic, right? I don't see that big of a gap between them, but there's a big gap in salary. I don't see as big of a gap in performance tonight because I think Luka's in a blowout. And I think Denver, New York, who we haven't talked about, is a sneaky, solid game. Denver is not dominating as much this year, and New York just kind of hangs with everybody when they have some semblance of health. And so I think there's a better chance Jokic plays the full string out and has a good game. And so I like Jokic. So it automatically bumps Doncic down. Then the big salary comes in. You get a huge savings with Sabonis or Giannis or even De'Aaron Fox if you want to go that route. So, yeah, Doncic probably doesn't hit the podium for me tonight.
I keep refreshing Lineup HQ, like waiting for new projections, and it's like, nothing's happening. So what are they going to reproject? Like there's been no news. It's been quiet this entire show. We got nothing. Maybe crunch time will get something in about 5 minutes or so. You got Roth coming in. You got TJ coming in. SquirrelPatrol as well. The hammer that is New York and Denver. You kind of alluded to it. Let's talk about it. Denver at home versus the Knicks. Pulling up the box. Yeah, so 208. 208 is not a very appealing total. New York's got a team total of 99.5. Yeah, so Denver about a 9-point favorite here. It's not high. It's not tight. You do have some stars. You do have some really tight rotations when it comes to New York. We'll talk about that in a second. OG Anunoby still out. Randall's still out. Mitch Robb is still out. I did see he was practicing the other day, so maybe he comes back soon. We'll see. Denver, no Zeke Naji. That's the only thing that's meaningful there, and that's barely meaningful. McBride played 46 minutes the other night because Tibbs does not care. We're projecting him for 37. You can't project him for 45, but like there's a chance. I think there's a chance he plays 45 minutes here. Why not? It is Denver and the elevation, so maybe Tibbs cares about the elevation. I don't know if he does or doesn't. Just a thought. But like McBride's projecting really well. The matchup's not great, but he's cheap, and we're expecting him to play 37 minutes at a median. And again, there's a route where he plays 42, 44. That can happen. He is the most popular play in this game when you consider salary and everything. 29%. Gordon at 20%. Hart, another player who can play well into the 40s. We're projecting him, Chop, as a median projection of 41 minutes, which I don't think I've seen a bigger number on a median projection player this season. And if we did, it probably was Josh Hart. All right. So your thoughts for New York and Denver?
Yeah, it's the late night hammer. It's there's some things here you can do. There's the Jokic against, like I said, I think it's a competitive game, even though it's in Denver. I think New York can hang in there a little bit. So good enough. More so than Utah can hang with Dallas is what I'll say. So Jokic is fine. Jamal Murray, if you really want to save that money, that's fine. I just never end up with Jamal Murray, but he does he's in GPP winning lineups a lot. He's a really good player when he gets hot from the outside. Porter, not so much. Gordon, you've mentioned him earlier. He's going to jump in some optimals because he gets a pretty good median projection for the most part, and his salary never seems to rise up too much. Doesn't have a whole lot of ceiling these days when everybody's healthy, but a pretty decent floor. So Gordon's fine. KCP, not for me, but you will see him jump off in some optimals. Just not my kind of player, so pass on that one. Probably slightly more interested in the Knicks here because you will get those minutes. Brunson a little bit priced up, so I probably don't need to go there. Josh Hart these days, always a good play. Lots of minutes. And DiVincenzo, solid play. The price tag falling back down now, so that's fine. Hardenstein putting together some good games. Let me check his history here against Jokic. How does he fare? Not bad, so it's not like he gets run off the court by Jokic, so that's fine. And then there's the Miles McBride. That's a pretty good projection for a pretty cheap salary. Like that's the best projection per dollar. I don't know if technically it's the best, but to me it looks the best tonight because
and the minutes might be too low. They might be 5 minutes too low, maybe.
Like a guy who gets who's 3K but is projected at 17 points might be a higher per minute or per dollar player than, let's say, Miles McBride. But this one looks better to me because the median is actually getting you above like 24, which is kind of a barrier for me that I like. So I don't mind the McBride. He's actually looking like a guy I'm going to stick in my lineup just based on that.
Did want to mention we just gave away premium, a week free of premium about 15 minutes ago. We're doing giveaways every single day. If you're not lucky enough to happen to win it, you can buy it. You can buy yourself premium now. It's the perfect time to do so. RotoGrinders Premium, NBA, PGA, NCAA basketball, March Madness, NHL, MMA, MLB, right around the corner. Legit 7 days away. 6-month combo subscription exclusive price $469.99. That is a savings of $250 if you're just buying it month by month by month by month. You're saving $250. You don't want to fully dive in. You don't want to fully dip the toes in the water, or you just want to dip the toes in the water. Get yourself a 3-day pass. 3-day pass, by the way, if you like March Madness, good time to get the 3-day pass. You get Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or I don't know how it would work, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You get yourself the NCAA content. That's $19.99 for a 3-day pass. We do have crunch time coming in just a few minutes or so. Should be knocking on the door momentarily. We got Roth. We have TJ Zwarych, and of course we have Squirrel Patrol. We lost the countdown. We ditched the countdown. We have to come up with something new on the fly here, Chop, as a segue to crunch time. And I'm summoning Wayne's World. Da-da-da, 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 da-da-da. Is that better for you, Roth? I don't know.
I mean, way better than the countdown. That was fantastic.
One of
That
these
was better than I could have hoped. There was a lot of pressure there, and you delivered, Dean.
I wasn't sure what to go with, and I'm like, that's the first thing I got, and there you go. Wayne's World popped in my head, and yesterday. You know what? The people have spoken. You have spoken, and I'm happy. I'm happy to listen to constructive criticism. And you were right. And now I might try something different tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. But they're a little. So the younger viewers probably don't know what Wayne's World is. I imagine. I think it's probably over their head. But TJ's aware of because he's a TV guy, a movie guy. TJ, you're aware of Wayne's World?
I am aware of Wayne's World. Party time. Excellent.
There you go.
Had a big moment though. I wasn't gonna bring it up since I already did a show today and brought it up, but since you called me a TV guy, I'm gonna bring it up. We at the Agents of Fandom had our very first ever TV spot today. So there's a new commercial for the movie Monkey Man with Dev Patel. It's an action movie coming out, and if you watch the new trailer, there it is. Thank you, Steve. Shout out, Steve. We are right in there with our quote.
Nice.
Awesome! Congratulations. That's pretty spectacular. What was what's the movie that I liked where he lost his hearing? The movie Dev Patel. What's the name of that movie? TJ, you know what I'm talking about?
I am not super familiar with his filmography.
Wasn't that him? I think that was him. Maybe it wasn't him. I'm getting confused with somebody else, but I thought that was him. No, it doesn't matter. Hey, Squirrel, did you get a stack correction last night?
No, didn't get it. But I was just staring at my phone because that would have been like $165,000 block for me. Who was it? Yeah, Gigi Jackson did miss a 3 in the closing seconds. That would have been a nice one, but actually I made more of a run at the end, so I was pretty happy with the way things turned out.
Come on,
you took down 60 or 65.
165K to use like a box of chicken McNuggets to the average man. You're not sweating. You're not sweating that, dude.
No. It was a sweat. I was rooting on Gigi Jackson. It was a weird slate last night because you got so many blowouts. You were really just kind of like a lot of the teams at the end. It was just dependent on who you had that was still in the game. But yeah, it was kind of a weird live final. It wasn't really live, but it was a final. So yeah.
Same process tonight, Squirrel. We have another ugly slate with 4 blowouts at least on layaway, right? I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that. Myself and Chop will step aside and get out of here. We'll make way. But Chop, the people want to know. You got the old Field and the Plums play tonight?
Yeah, Dean, as we went through the show, I didn't have one, but boy, I started my plums became aroused when I started looking at these games, and I got one for you, Dean. I'm going to Houston, Texas. I'm going Nikola Vucevic. I'm thinking he's gonna pick apart the smaller lineup, and then Houston's having troubles with some centers these days. So I'm going Vucevic, Dean.
Myself and Chop are going to step aside and make way for crunch time. You got TJ Zwarych, you got SquirrelPatrol, you have Kevin Roth. Roth, take it away.
Good stuff. As always, welcome to it, ladies and gents. You know the drill. It's crunch time. 2 of the sharpest minds in the biz. Helping to walk you through the slate. We're going to give you FanDuel. We're going to give you DK, and then we're going to answer your questions as well. TJ, congrats on the Agents of Fandom stardom now. You guys are officially have made it, but we want to make sure that we officially make it in the DFS streets. We got to give out some winners. You ready to do that?
Absolutely. Ready to break everything down. We got a small slate today due to, not super small, but 6 games. Nice medium small slate due to March Madness starting up, I have to assume, with a few real high totals, real exciting games with not a lot of defense to be played, and then a few really low totals with low paces and a lot of defense to be played. So I would say as of right now, unless some news shifts, there's really only 2 or 3 games that stand out big time. And so that will be, at least from a cash game standpoint, where most of our exposure will be.
Okay, very nice. We got Squirrel as well. I guess you just missed a huge payday and only ended up with what most people would consider a huge payday last night.
Yeah, but it was fun. Yeah, placed well in the final. I had a bunch of entries for the FanDuel Live final, which was like in my living room. There was no destination, so easy to prepare for, easy to travel, save that travel money. Got a 5th place finish out of 100. So yeah, not bad.
Very nice. Is it just me, or do you consistently do really well in live finals? I realize you get 2 more live finals than most, but I feel like in those, or at least place well in those, greater than you would just normally. Is that right?
Yeah, it's actually really difficult to run numbers on that. So I have a separate spreadsheet for it. but I've played out about 96 live final seats, and I like in terms of like getting in the top like 10% or top 5%, I do about twice as well as I should, which is better than I do like on regular contests.
Right.
I don't really have an explanation for why.
Yeah. We need to bring in Cardi and ask, because he'd be like, sample size. The sample size isn't enough. I don't know. Maybe it's higher competition and you have a better idea of what others are going to do. I don't know.
I will say this was like I think this was my first 5th place finish, and of all of those seats, I think I've had like only 1 or 2 between 5 and like 12. So I'm landing just all of those 5 through 12 percenters are landing in the top 5%.
Nice.
It's probably just dumb luck.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, we'll take it. Kudos to you again. Quick question. We want to dive into the slate. Obviously, I want to know where in the sports hierarchy does NBA have your attention right now? Squirrel, you can go first. Is it baseball and tying into that Shohei Otani nonsense? Is it NCAA, or is it basketball, or is it something else I'm not even thinking of? What's the ranking?
For me, I would say I'm right now about like 75, 80% NBA, maybe like 5% golf, like probably 15% NCAA tournament. Like I didn't start looking at NCAA stuff until the live final ended last night, and I stayed up about 3-4 more hours doing like NCAA brackets. But then woke up and started watching the tournament. Yeah, it's a great day. It's one of my favorite days of the year, right? Is the opening round of the NCAA tournament. I was like actually a little bit bummed at the final, because usually last night I'd be doing like brackets like starting 5 p.m. or whatever.
Right, but it took some attention away from that. I get it. TJ, I ask you the same question here. Where is your attention going to these days? Is it NCAA? Is it MLB and Shohei, which has like 98% of my attention? Or is it NBA?
It kind of depends on the moment, with someone who has aggressive ADHD, my attention doesn't last on one thing very long. So it's 100% on NBA for the case until the end of this show, and until I maybe get some Bucks news, because Giannis is still listed as questionable. And then after that, it's probably going to shift entirely to something else. The sport that has been most on my mind lately has been my MLB The Show on PS5. But I'm going to be honest, on my mind most of the time is baby going to come today?
Oh, yeah. That is, that'll rank high up there. Yeah, that is a little life-changing.
Did Shohei gamble or no?
Yeah, he absolutely did. He absolutely did gamble.
Yep.
I hate it. I love him more than anything in the world, including my wife and children. Sorry, hon. But he's out. He's out. He's going to get the ban hammer. I don't know. I'm fascinated by the story. I think it's incredible. Okay. Hey, you know what? We've been beating around the bush. We got to dive into the slate. TJ, why don't you give me a run through of what has happened and what has yet to break? You mentioned some Giannis news.
Yeah, Giannis is still listed as questionable. I do think he's going to end up playing, but we don't know that yet. And if he doesn't play, we just got an update a little bit ago. He's a game time decision. I think he's going to play. If he doesn't, that opens up Bobby Portis, Damian Lillard as two of the strongest plays on the slate, especially because Chris Middleton played last night. He is not playing today. I do think Giannis is going to be in, but if he's not, Lillard, Portis, Lopez, all very strong plays today. But other than that, it's kind of like I mentioned, there's a few games that stand out with some higher totals. So Sacramento, Washington, and Utah, Dallas. And then on the Houston side of things, they're missing Alperen Şengün still. And then there's Sacramento is missing Kevin Huerter. So those things are going to be factoring into our decisions as well. But it will be, for the most part, the Sacramento, Washington, Utah, Dallas, Chicago, Houston. Unless we get the Giannis news, that's going to be where we're going for most of our cash stuff.
Okay, very good. Well, let's dive into a cash build. TJ, I do believe you are going to be the guy for that. We like to start with some FanDuel.
Yes, absolutely. Just opening up a FanDuel optimizer right now. I'm a little bit popping behind because DraftKings is not letting me want to upload my entries. I'm hitting the upload entry button, and it's like nothing happens on the screen. That when I click upload CSV, there's just nothing going on. So maybe somebody else check that out. See if you're able to upload CSVs, so I know if it's a DraftKings thing or a me thing. Maybe I want to try a different browser or something. But anyways, FanDuel, starting at the point guard position. it's really like Dante Exum, I guess, is a chalk value that we're going to be going to today. And I'm not really sure how much I like it, but I do find myself landing on him in a lot of lineups today. It doesn't feel great, but he is a viable option today at the position. Alex Caruso, as long as he's playing, is popping at the point guard position. Jalen Green is probably the guy I feel the best about playing. He's just been going absolutely off without Alperen Şengün lately, just lighting it up every single night. I wrote him up in my Prize Picks article today to have more than 37.5 fantasy points. Love that one. And then Luka, of course, if you can afford him, you can go to Luka. He's 12-8. Noto's got him tagged as a core play today. I don't disagree with that one bit if you can find the value to make it work. He's currently one of his 2 core tags, and he's now priced up so much on DraftKings that he's actually only $100 more on FanDuel than he is on DraftKings. So I feel like if you're going all the way up to Luka, there's a good chance you're probably going to have to be playing like a Dante Exum along with him, somebody a little bit cheaper, or somebody like Miles McBride, who I think would likely be my favorite guy to pair him with here. It's not a good matchup against against Denver, but he played like 40 plus minutes last game. We got him projected for 37 minutes today, and it could easily be more than that too. So I think you're probably choosing between Doncic, Exum, McBride, and Green. But since you can go Exum and Green at the shooting guard position potentially, same with Alex Caruso, McBride and Doncic are probably going to be my top 2 for cash at point guard. Shooting guard position, you are absolutely playing Keon Ellis, no doubt about it. Noto's got him as a core play, and he's probably the best source of value on this slate, starting without Kevin Huerter. Dylan Brooks is an option. I would probably rather him at small forward, though. And then you're left with a lot of those same names, Alex Caruso, Dante Exum, and Jalen Green. Basically, that's it, where you're looking at the shooting guard position for cash. I love somebody like a Malik Monk for tournaments today, but I think that's probably just a tournament only thing and not somebody you're considering in cash. Small forward, Brooks is the top play here. It's ugly, but at least you get the whole, well, he's going to be 70% owned in cash games. Everybody else is doing it, so I don't care if he does bad anyway. I don't like him for tournaments, but I think he's perfectly viable for cash today. And then Harrison Barnes, Denny Avdia, Corey Kispert are really the other 3 that you're considering here. Small forward, shooting guard, or small forward, power forward eligibility for all of those guys. Kobe White is in, so that means the Alex Caruso's and the Ayo Dosunmu's, who have been popping quite a bit lately, aren't quite as exciting. But as you can see, we had White projected in, and Caruso is still one of the top options here, so he is fully viable. Power forward position, Barnes, Washington, Avdia, Sabonis, all these guys are totally fine. I kind of like prioritizing getting up to Sabonis today. If you can make Sabonis and Luka work, great. If you plug in Sabonis, Luka, and Ellis, it leaves you 52-67 remaining on FanDuel for the rest of the positions. And when you look at most of the guys we've been recommending, considering them, they're in the just below 5K range, it does work to be able to play both of them. So I think you're looking at Sabonis, you're looking at Washington, you're looking at Barnes, and then Avdia would be the other one if you're into the more mid-range build that you're going with, like the Avdia Hearts. That's basically if you decide I don't want to play Giannis and the I don't want to play Doncic and the Exums of the world. I want to keep it more in the mid tier. That's when you're looking at somebody like Avdia. And then if you land on Hendricks as the last piece, not my favorite, but he's fine with no John Collins today. Center, if you're not using Sabonis or Washington at the power forward, you can use them at the center. And then I think your top center option today would be Walker Kessler. Important to note, though, that if we happen to get Giannis out, 7K Bobby Portis would probably be my favorite at the power forward center position above everybody we mentioned.
Gotcha. Okay. Very nice. Squirrel, I'll kick it to you for some tournament takes and tournament thoughts. How are you going about this build?
Sure. So just like a quick slate overview. We have a couple of really high total games with Utah, Dallas, so like 237. Sacramento and Washington, like 238.5. Like those are much higher than the other games on the slate. The issue is, Dean kind of alluded to this, like there's big spreads in those games. It's really like a kind of a tournament thing, but it's tough because the totals are so much higher. Like those guys are definitely cash viable too. And it's like I want to say like, oh, they're tournament plays, but like really they're cash game plays too. So like going position by position. I think the top two guys at point guard are Luka and Miles McBride for very different reasons. Like Luka's amazing. And it's getting easier. I kind of wrote about this in my article today. It's like getting easier as the season comes to an end to get Luka into lineups, even though his price is going up because we're getting this value popping up with like lineup changes and injuries and stuff like that. So getting a bunch of Luka on FanDuel. Miles McBride is playing like every minute for the Knicks. And so I'm presuming he's going to start, but I don't know. It was kind of a one-off situation, but he even played 47 minutes off the bench recently. So I think he's going to be playing big minutes no matter what. He's only 5,200. He's actually a guy that I've liked since he was in college. Like he went to West Virginia. Thought he was impressive in the NCAA tournament during the conference tournament back years ago. Other tournament options, I like Colin Sexton. He's been playing big minutes off the bench, taking a bunch of shots. It's a good matchup against Dallas. Like interesting run back with Luka. I'm kind of boosting up Damian Lillard a little bit just in case Giannis doesn't play, and I might adjust that, but I might just leave it. Like I think Lillard's a fine play, even if Giannis is in against Brooklyn. So in terms of the Rockets guys, and this is like a theme, like Jalen Green and Fred VanVleet, and as we move to some of the other positions with popular Houston players, their stats are maybe a little bit messed up because they've now played 4 games without Alperen Şengün. 2 of those games have been against Washington. 1 was against San Antonio. So like those are 2 of the worst defensive teams in the league. So like if you're looking at the box scores, you're like, oh my God, these guys are incredible. Like they might need to like take a step back a little bit against Chicago. I think Chicago plays at like the second slowest pace in the league. So a little bit down on Fred VanVleet and Jalen Green. Shooting guard. Other Rockets I'm down on, man. Dylan Brooks just doesn't do anything ever. He's super cheap. I'd rather just take the risk and play some other like cheap shooting guard or cheap small forward. But in terms of cheap shooting guards that I do like, man, Keon Ellis just keeps getting stocks. That seems to be his thing, and Washington is a good team to do it against. So I love me Keon Ellis on both sites, but like especially on FanDuel with his like 3 points for blocks and steals. He didn't get the blowout run last night, but it was like a super blowout on the front end of a back-to-back. He's a younger player. It wouldn't surprise me if he is even if this game blows out, if he's in the lineup a little bit longer than some of the other guys. Then getting a bunch of Contavious, Caldwell Pope, some Dante Exum, and some like basically it's just super cheap guys at shooting guard, really up and down the list. Small forward, I'm getting a bunch of Corey Kispert and Denny Avdia. I don't know. It's a high total game. Like I think they'll be out there for good minutes against Sacramento. I actually kind of prefer them to the Sacramento small forwards, Harrison Barnes and Keegan Murray. Of the Sacramento guys, I prefer Keegan Murray to Harrison Barnes. And I still don't like Dylan Brooks at small forward. Power forward, Aaron Gordon. He just always is a guy priced in the mid-range that I just land on because he's fine. And this should be fine. It's not a super high total game. Might be more rebounds available against the Knicks. Getting some PJ Washington, getting some Denny Avdia, and then the big spend up is Domantas Sabonis. I'm playing a lot of him, but it wouldn't shock me if his ownership gets out of control if I'm a little bit under the field on him. Like I think like a 30% number is fine, but there is blowout risk. Getting some Josh Hart at power forward as well. And I am building in some Giannis, assuming he plays. I'll just adjust it. I think there's a good chance he plays. If he doesn't, I'll just adjust it. Center, PJ Washington, Walker Kessler, Nikola Vucevic, and then of course the Domantas Sabonis.
Very nice. Okay, good stuff. I do want to hear about DK, but first, if you haven't checked out our props and pick'em package, you should. The experts at RotoGrinders projection team taking our premium stats, combing through the market, looking for essentially the best bets for you. We also have the prop model, which is amazing. You can easily see which lines are off, where to find them, how likely that prop is to hit based on our tool. You can try out the props and pick'em package as a 3-day pass right now. Note, it will auto-renew at the monthly rate once those 3 days are up, but the link is in our description and get that 3-day pass today. TJ, let's kick it to DK. I was building a DK while y'all were talking about FanDuel. Seems pretty similar, unless I'm missing something glaring here.
Nope, not missing anything glaring at all. Very similar. I did manage to find out that it was an issue with my laptop, not DK itself, as to why I wasn't able to unload the files. And so, being the master problem solver that I am, I emailed my DK CSV to myself from this computer to the one that I'm talking to you on right now, and then uploaded them onto DK from there. So feeling pretty proud of myself getting my lineups in. Very similar stuff on this site though. At the point guard position, just pulling it back up. Miles McBride and Keon Ellis. And so Keon Ellis only has point guard eligibility on DraftKings. And so $4,100 at the point guard position, you're playing him for sure. Noto also has Luka tagged here as a core play. I'm okay with running both Luka and Keon Ellis here. His point guard's a pretty strong position, and that means shoring them up. But I'm okay with putting both of those guys in. And believe it or not, two of my favorite guys to fill out the rest of our lineup here at shooting guard, at small forward, and beyond are actually also people who have point guard eligibility. So Miles McBride, plugging him into the shooting guard spot. He's point guard, shooting guard eligible. And then at the small forward position, using Amen Thompson, who also has point guard eligibility. He's point guard, small forward. So ideally, I want to get at least 4 point guards in my DraftKings cash lineup today. Kind of pivoting back here a little bit, going to the shooting guard position, Malik Monk. While I don't think he was cash viable on DraftKings, I do think he's cash viable on FanDuel. And then Jalen Green, Dante Exum, both of them are fine. The only other people I would consider using in cash. Small forward position, Denny Avdia and Amen Thompson, and Malik Monk, another guy I've already named. Corey Kispert is somebody who's okay. But Monk, Amen Thompson, Denny Avdia, those would definitely be my top choices for cash, with Amen Thompson being number 1. Power forward, you get a cheap Dylan Brooks here if you want it. It's fine. I don't like it. It's fine. It's like Squirrel said, he doesn't do anything. I would rather get up to Keegan Murray at 5,800 if I can. He would be my preference. But PJ Washington, Aaron Gordon, even Josh Hart, all of these guys are perfectly fine for cash. If you land on Harrison Barnes as the last piece, it's fine. Power forward is a pretty gross position. It's fine for any of them. And then at the center position, Sabonis, if you can get up to him, that's your top choice. If you can't, Walker Kessler at 5,500, also a great cash game option. That's it.
Okay, very good. Squirrel, kicking it to you for some tournament thoughts. We have oodles and oodles of time, so no rush, but walk me through your plans.
Sure. Just one quick note. We don't have a Wizards lineup yet. I think it's a 7 o'clock game. Yeah. So I'm keeping an eye on that just in case, because they've been doing some weird stuff. So keeping an eye on the Wizards starting lineup, because that would be something.
Let me know if
you just got it.
Okay. Just came through.
Weird.
Cool, Kispert, Avdia, Kuzma, Holmes.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So no adjustments needed there. I think that's pretty much what we were expecting. Probably exactly what we were expecting.
Yeah.
DraftKings point guard. I should come right out the bat with the Amen Thompson thing. Like, I do a thing in my article of a guy that's mispriced between FanDuel and DraftKings. Amen Thompson has been that guy like the last 4 times I've written the article, because he had a $2,400 price difference between FanDuel and DraftKings. So, and then it's shrunk to $1,600 now. So he's a very popular play on DraftKings tonight, as he has been the last couple of weeks. I'm a little bit probably going to be under the field or right at our ownership number, just because the adjustment from playing Washington twice and San Antonio to now playing Chicago. I think people may have a little bit of unrealistic expectation of how well he's going to perform. But anyway, so that's what
Giannis is in.
Oh, perfect. Okay, great. Oh man, I'm going to sit back and just relax the rest of the show other than doing the show. Point guard, Keon Ellis. I'm actually, I think, even playing more of Keon Ellis on DraftKings than I am on FanDuel. He scores better on FanDuel, price lower on DraftKings. I just think he's a guy that might go out there and get a bunch of steals and blocks. And if he adds some points because they're playing Washington, even better. Playing a lot of Luka, he scores so well on DraftKings with the triple double bonus. I know, he's going to get a double double somehow. And then playing a bunch of Miles McBride. Getting a lot of Taylor Horton Tucker sneaking in there. Don't know how I feel about it, but he's just super cheap. And then I'm kind of down on the other Rockets guys like Jalen Green and Fred VanVleet. Shooting guard, playing a bunch of Contavious Caldwell-Pope. I'm getting a lot more of this Knicks Denver game than I expected. But it should be at least be competitive. And the guys all play big minutes. So then getting Miles McBride at shooting guard as well, getting some Malik Monk, and then Colin Sexton. I think Sexton might be a little bit underprojected just because he moved to the bench, and so I think we're like, maybe expecting him to play less minutes, but he's not playing less minutes, and he's like taking just as many shots or more. So kind of trying to be over the field on Colin Sexton. Moving to small forward, bunch of Denny Avdia. I'm relieved the Wizards starting lineup looks normal. I was thinking about like global swaps I could make, but don't have to worry about that. Playing a bunch of Josh Hart, playing a bunch of Corey Kispert, playing some Derek Jones. He's really cheap, and I think he's like an interesting guy that might benefit from the matchup with Utah, and maybe he's like a little bit of a pivot from some of the other popular Mavericks. Power forward, getting a bunch of Aaron Gordon, getting more Keegan Murray on DraftKings than I did on FanDuel. I think I'm actually getting more Josh Hart on DraftKings than I did on FanDuel as well. Playing some Giannis, and then trying to be under the field on Dylan Brooks, and getting much less PJ Washington on DraftKings than on FanDuel. Center position, Daniel Gafford. I'm getting a lot more Daniel Gafford on DraftKings than on FanDuel. And then Walker Kessler and Domantas Sabonis, and then some Giannis. I really wanted to get to Day'Ron Sharpe, and I thought he'd be like a sneaky play if Nick Claxton was out, or even sneakier if Nick Claxton was in. But like Walker Kessler kind of blew that up. It's like Walker Kessler just looks much better with John Collins out.
Yeah. Okay. Personal tournament question: can I play someone for 3, 4, or less on DK?
Yeah, I might go to Derek Jones Jr.
Excellent. And you just allowed me to get Giannis, so thank you. I liked everything else in my build. So, all right. Not that you love that play, to be clear. You're not like
I mentioned him. He was in there.
All right. Yeah, he's in the mix. All right. We got 15 minutes for some QQs. TJ, anything you want to add before we dive into it?
Nope. Other than that, I just made a full Sacramento Washington game stack. The only player not in that game was Dante Exum.
Nice. Okay. Let's see what we got from Eagles Nation. Do you think Precious starts and plays 40 minutes with the size on Denver? TJ, is that something that is even viable?
Possible. I don't think will get that many. They're not that big. Like, we're talking about Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter. It's not like it's they could end up needing him to play the 5 if Hartenstein gets in foul trouble, as opposed to the 4 to guard Michael Porter Jr. or Aaron Gordon.
Right. Okay. What else do we got? DK GPP, Squirrel, Amen Thompson, or Abdia, both guys that you mentioned, both guys that you like.
Which site are we talking?
This was DK.
I like Avdia more. If you can, I think he's $500 more. So if you can get to Avdia, I would get to Avdia.
Great. FanDuel GPP, Squirrel. How about game stacking the most competitive game of the night with Denver and Knicks? It's a low total, but at least we know who to target in those games.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit more of that game than I thought, and I think it's like a reasonable game stack. Because what if it is competitive and the other games are basically just 3 quarters, and you're getting 45 minutes of Josh Hart and and full run from like Aaron Gordon. So I think that's totally reasonable.
Okay. TJ, this is back to back from Omar. These are FanDuel questions. 1, is it okay to fade the Rockets game on FanDuel? And 2, can I play both Giannis and Sabonis in one lineup on FanDuel?
Yeah. That'll be quite different than going Luka, so that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Well, what else do we have?
Wait, sorry, was that cash? Then no.
He didn't specify. Probably.
Okay.
Not.
Yeah. Tournament. That's fine. Yeah. Sorry.
Probably not. Jumping into the old YouTube chat here. Make sure you're hitting us with the thumbs up. By the way, I'm not sure if you've noticed, this has been free all season long, and all that we're asking is you hit that thumbs up right there on the bottom of the screen. What do we got? How do you feel about Van Vliet? Squirrel, you mentioned you feel those numbers might be slightly inflated without what's his face because of the matchup they've had.
Yeah, exactly. So a little bit down on all the Houston guys, just because their numbers without Şengün now look spectacular because they've been playing terrible defenses for 4 games, like 3 out of 4 games.
Yeah.
And I'm really worried about a matchup against like a slow-paced Chicago team. So I'm under the field on Fred VanVleet.
Okay, we'll go to Nick's question in the YouTube chat. Is DK Cash TJ, Sabonis, or Luka DK Cash?
Luka.
Okay.
If there's ever a question, especially in cash, somebody or Luka, if you can afford Luka, it's Luka 100% of the time.
Yeah. All right. Any interest in Rashawn Holmes' revenge narrative, TJ?
A touch of him in tournaments and game stacks.
Joe says, any Jacques Landale love? Squirrel, any Landale?
Not really. Again, everybody's asking about Houston people, and I'm down on Houston. It's going to be a lower pace game than their last few games. Like, I think there were some good Jacques Landale opportunities the past few games. I'm not sure if this is one. He might be playing he might have better minutes, like certainty, going against Vucevic and Andre Drummond, but he might be doing less with those minutes.
Makes sense. Okay, great. Mr. Richard says, Squirrel, DK single entry. I'm in like a 2,500 entry contest here. Do you think it's better to go stars and scrubs or more balanced?
I think it's an okay. Well, let me. Let me make sure I'm looking at DraftKings.
Yeah.
I think you can get at least like one big stud in there, whether it's Luka or Sabonis, or if you even want to go up to Giannis. It depends whether you consider like guys like Keon Ellis and Contavious Caldwell-Pope like scrubs, because like I'm way over the field on those guys. If you think they're scrubs, then I'm heavy on a stars and scrubs build. If you think that they're mid-range at 4,000, 4,100, and like Miles McBride at 4,700, then I'm more mid-range.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Vooch and a DK GPP, TJ. I feel like we all like that. Everybody's on board with Vooch,
absolutely.
right? Yeah, we're on board. What else do we got? Favorite centers in cash, TJ, on DK?
Favorite centers in cash: Walker Kessler and Domantas Sabonis.
Okay. Is Jalen Green a good play in tournaments? Again, we've kind of referenced like it's not a bad play, but maybe his numbers are artificially inflated with some good matchups.
I think he's much better on FanDuel. I'd be much more open to Jalen Green if it's a FanDuel lineup because he's much better priced over there.
Okay, great. Andrew says, TJ, if you're stacking the last game, how would you rank them from both sides? Like, what are the priorities of that stack? I'm not sure what the last game is.
Last game is New York and Denver.
Oh, okay.
So I would say Jokic with Josh Hart and Miles McBride would be my favorite way to stack it.
Very nice. All right. What else do we got? Mr. Irrelevant says, hey, does Squirrel feel like Champagne will produce now that he's on the bench? I need the extra $300 that he saves me over Kispert on DK.
So it's a big like projections drop, but I think you can go there. I mean, I think it's a okay play for tournaments. It's like pretty risky, but it's still plausible. We really don't know how much Champagne is going to be playing. It's like, yeah, maybe he hits his minutes upside. And like the starting lineup is much more normal than it has been. That doesn't necessarily mean that much. They could still give the bench guys extended run. So like go for it if you're okay with a heavy risk tolerance.
Okay. All right. Squirrel, right back to you here from Roger in the YouTube chat. DK GPP, Caruso or Amen Thompson?
I'd probably go Amen Thompson. There's also a question, I think, in the YouTube chat about Nick Claxton being out, but Nick Claxton is in. So
okay. I was just coming up to that. So I'm glad that you addressed that. Thank you. We will then go to TJ. It's a GPP question on DK. TJ Shooter Jenkins says, PJ Washington or Daniel Gafford?
I like Gafford for a tournament better, Washington for cash better.
Okay, TJ, back to you. Is Duarte in play on DK?
No.
DK GPP, Holmes revenge narrative. Did we mention this one already? This is the second time we said that.
He's fine for tournaments, but not a main target.
All right, great.
The Wizards do have a center they want to take a look at called Tristan Vucevic, a former second round pick. So like that's just a little bit of a concern with Rashawn Holmes. I'm not sure if the Tristan guy is in play, but it gives me a little bit of pause on Rashawn Holmes.
Interesting.
And Kuzma's back.
Yeah.
And Kuzma's back. Yeah. So I saw that name, Tristan Vucevic, and I didn't know if I didn't know what the hell the question meant. I didn't realize that's a person. That's a person.
Yeah.
Okay. You learn. You get late in the season, you learn some names you didn't know prior to this point. What else do we got? Squirrel, can you? Oh, this is a cash question. TJ, can you fit Sabonis and Luka in DK cash comfortably?
Yeah, you actually can.
Yeah. Okay. Large field GPP. This is from Hoosiers Hang Banner Squirrel. Schroeder, KD, or Cam Johnson, Sabonis?
Schroeder and who?
Schroeder and KD, or Cam Johnson and Sabonis?
Wait, I think the Phoenix game is not on the slate. Like Kevin Durant?
Well, so this is a Yahoo question. So I guess
Okay.
I suppose on Yahoo it is on the slate.
What's the question?
Schroeder-
I'll look right now.
Schroeder,
Yeah, Schroeder.
KD, or Cam Johnson, Sabonis?
I'd do Cam Johnson as a bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Charles says, any good plays on DK Squirrel? 5,500 at shooting guard. 5,500 at shooting guard.
That may take me a second. Hold on.
Yeah.
McBride is the closest I have in my pool. I don't have anyone between McBride and DiVincenzo.
Yeah,
Best play would
exactly.
be-
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's still.
Okay.
it'd be Miles McBride.
Great. Cleveland Picker says, actually, let me take that question. TJ, your favorite, I think he means low owned punt at any position on FanDuel, but he just says best low punt, which seems redundant. So probably means best low owned punt, any position on FanDuel.
Low owned. All right, let me look through the ownership stuff.
Give
Do you
a
want to fire
lower
Squirrel
owned
something
cheap.
and then?
Yeah, sure. More questions in the RG Discord. That's my bad. I went away from it a little too long there. Squirrel FanDuel single entry. Is it okay to have Kispert and Abdi in the same lineup? I just don't want to play Dylan Brooks. That's fair.
Yeah. I feel the same way. So I have a bunch of lineups with Kispert and Abdia. Dylan Brooks. Just gonna run up and down the court 2-0. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Squirrel, right back to you. FanDuel GPP center: Claxton, Portis, Kessler, or Gafford.
Claxton, Portis, Gafford, or who?
Kessler.
Kessler. You can afford any of them. I'd go with Claxton.
Okay, great. TJ, I even forgot what I asked you, honestly.
Well, I'm trying to look for somebody who's like under 4K, like in terms of a punt, but there's really nobody like even moderately interesting at that price range that's going to be low owned today. And so I would say maybe a $4,200 Bojan Bogdanovic. Nobody's going to play him. That would actually be the guy that I think would get more run as opposed to Precious Achiuwa today if they need some more size, because I think Bojan is more more capable of getting out there to the wing than Achiuwa is. Or doesn't feel good, but Bryce Sensabaugh or Taylor Horton Tucker for Utah. Just like one of those guys could, if they get 20 minutes instead of 17, they'll have a good game.
Okay. FanDuel Cash, TJ, back to you. Cam Johnson or PJ Washington? Straight up, he asks, who is the least mid? That's what the kids are saying these days. Mid. That's mid, bro.
PJ Washington.
Okay. PJ Washington is better. He is the least mid, to be clear.
He is less mid, but will probably play 7 to 8 more minutes.
Okay. What else do we have? I've heard no mention of Jokic. What up with that, Squirrel? Is Jokic going to come in super under-owned compared to, Luka, Sabonis, Giannis?
I think so, but he has like a much worse matchup. I kept increasing his projection and still didn't get any. I don't know. I think if Giannis was out, I think I was going to be sneaking in a lot of Jokic but now I'm spending that money on Giannis.
I see. Okay. Makes sense. Duarte is the last piece in the Sacramento blowout. FanDuel GPP. We kind of ixnayed that, right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah,
not quite. On FanDuel, any interest in Pat C? By the way, you got about 2-3 minutes until lock. Pat Connaughton on FanDuel?
Nope.
DK GPP.
I think I'm actually getting some Pat Connaughton.
Again, Pat Connaughton?
Like 10%.
Come on. I guess that's your low-owned punt then, if you want.
Yeah,
one.
he's like 3,900.
Okay. DK GPP 3-entry max. Would you rather have 2 shares of Kessler or 2 shares of Keegan Murray, Squirrel? 2 shares of Kessler or 2 shares of Keegan Murray?
I think probably 2 shares of Kessler.
Okay. TJ bringing you in. This is also DK GPP from Yankee Man. Aaron Gordon and Markkinen, or Amen Thompson and Hart?
I'm in Thompson and Hart by a lot.
Yeah. FanDuel single entry GPP, TJ, KCP or Exum. I've got Kyrie and Gafford in this lineup for what it's worth.
KCP or XM. Hold on just a sec. How much is Caldwell Pope on DraftKings? Oh, never mind. It's FanDuel, so I'm not working. I think straight up it's probably KCP, but I believe XM's cheaper. So if you can upgrade somewhere else with XM, do that. If not, KCP.
Okay, great. FanDuel GPP, THT or KCP? Squirrel, THT or KCP?
I'd go KCP.
I love this question from Blink 182. I'm playing Luka and Kyrie together in a large field DK tournament. Is that silly?
Probably.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like it.
Yeah.
I never like playing Kyrie.
Yeah, me either. I can't do
Like
it.
it unless Luka's out.
I think I dislike him as a human, and that might be the reason. Any must plays on Yahoo Cat? You guys don't happen to know like Yahoo Cash off the top of your head?
It's typically almost the exact same as FanDuel.
Yeah,
okay.
It's the same scoring.
Okay, so then the guys we listed on FanDuel, I suppose. Joker or Sabonis on FanDuel, TJ, Jokic or Sabonis?
Sabonis.
Edgar says, DK Cash, help. Squirrel, I got 7K in the util. Help. Less than a minute until lock.
Avdia.
Avdia?
Yeah.
That was so quick. Good job, guys.
I just answered that one in the YouTube chat.
Hey.
Nice. And so I had it ready to go.
Very nice. Okay. Hey, with that, we have hit lock. We're discussing if mid means no cap. No, these are not interchangeable kid lingo. Now we gotta be up on our young people lingo. Squirrel, you know what no cap means, right?
No.
I freaking love it. No. No cap means like no bull. I'm not lying. I mean it. It's legit.
Okay.
No cap, bro. So next time you and I are hanging out and I say no cap, which I will never say, now you know what it means. All right. I feel like that's a good way to end it on. We've kept the YouTube, the people young and fresh and cool and hip with the three of us. So we're going to bounce on out of here for Squirrel. You got something to add? You had like,
oh, no.
Okay. You were just excited to leave. That's fine. For TJ, for Squirrel, and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love it. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.